ACT, American College Test. So this is sort of like the new kid on the block here in the East Coast. Okay, it's gaining popularity, and that's actually an understatement. It's actually taken over market share from the SAT. It's a standardized test required by most schools. Right? Any school that's requiring the SAT will also accept the ACT. I know culturally here in the East Coast, we're more used to taking the SAT. And the reason being is because it's created in Princeton, New Jersey. So for years and years and years, the culture, the direct market geographically was the East Coast and also in Europe and overseas. Whereas the ACT is made in the Midwest, in Iowa. That was their target market, But now with the age of, digital communication and low-cost travel, all right, anyone can take any test and it's become just as popular as the other. So the ACT is in many ways much more straightforward than the current SAT. It's more a test of what you know rather than a test of how you think. Okay? One of the other features about the ACT is that the timing is really intense. So for example, in the current SAT, they give you 70 minutes for 67 critical reading questions. Okay? They have 3 separate sections, 25, 25, and 20 minutes. All right? And 67 questions, 24, 24, and then 19. On the ACT, there's only one section of reading, but it's 40 questions in 35 minutes. So if you do out the proportion, for every 70 minutes, the SAT gives you 67 questions, and the ACT gives you 80. That's a lot. And if you're someone who's not exactly, quick with your thinking, your processing, that's a big difference. Right? Okay. So the ACT is gaining popularity in the New York City area and the East Coast. In fact, if maybe 7 years ago, we had maybe 75, 80% SAT students, we now have, and the rest being ACT, we now have about, I'd say 70% ACT and 30% SAT. Okay. So there's 4 sections on the exam. There is, in order, English, math, reading, and science. Now the science on the ACT is not really science. Right? It's really more data analysis, looking at trends, and reading comprehension. You don't really need to know science in order to do well. All right? In fact, that's a big question that most students have about the ACT. Well, I can't do science. Actually, it's okay probably. And you'd be surprised how well people take to it. So each of those sections are scored from 1 to 36, 36 being the highest. A 32 is equivalent to a 710 on an SAT section to give you some point of comparison. Okay? The way they factor the composite is they take the average of all 4 of those sections. So if you have 31 in the English and in the math, and then 29 in the reading and the science, your composite's a 30. A 33 and above is equivalent to a 2200 or higher on the SAT. Okay? Now, what's kind of great about the ACT, because it has that science section, it gives schools a much sort of broader sense of your testing skills. As a result, if you take the ACT with writings, you can choose to take it with the essay and without the essay, or with or without the writing. It's very straightforward. There's no reason not to take it. There's no reason not to take the writing section. If you take it with the writing, it waives SAT 2 requirements at many schools, including fantastic schools. Penn, Yale. So what you're doing by taking the ACT is in many ways you're cutting down 2/3 of the work. Because you have your big test, right, your reasoning test, your SAT or ACT, and with the ACT, it eliminates the need for subject tests. Okay? Now, there are some schools that still require them. There are some schools and some programs, like say engineering programs, that even if you're applying with ACT, they may want to still see math level 2 or physics. Okay? But in general, this is a big advantage. Okay. And you can always go to act.org for more information on the exam. Again, more straightforward, timing's intense in comparison to the current test.